Recording in progress. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Johnny Bradley here from Mods of Your Generation. Bit of exclusive to get on and speak to Wolfy Foxlow. He's had a bit of an incredible story in life. So we did try and do this as a written interview, but do you know what? It'd be much more fun to get him on here and have a chat. So here he is. Welcome, Wolfy.
Hello, Johnny. Hello, Mods of Your Generation. Thank you for having me on board. It's a complete honour and a pleasure and a privilege to be invited on. So, yes, thank you.
It's great to have you, mate. So, look, we're not going to, it's not a professional format. We're just going to have a bit of a chat, see where it goes. So just tell us, first off, you know, how you sort of got into the mod scene growing up, your sort of influences, music and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose in the serious light of it all, the main mod thing I got into when I was about 15, you know, just a few months before Quadrophenia came out. And I had a bit of a difficult upbringing. I was in a kids' home and stuff, you know. So, and this guy, just one of the kids in the home, said, "Fuck listening to that. Come and listen to this." And he whacked on the Who. Now, I didn't know who the Who was. I've never heard of him before. And I suppose it sort of fell into place because they were like geezers from London, and I liked the whole sound of the Who, you know, and the lyrical content sort of blew me away because they're telling story and stuff, you know. So with 93% of songs were love songs, so they sort of ripped that apart and just tore up the rule book, basically, as far as I could tell, being a young, impressionable 15-year-old. And of course, I sort of realised after done a little bit of research that they was involved in the whole sort of mod thing, adopted mods, of course. You know what I mean? But I didn't find that out until later. So that's it. So it was the Who for me, first and foremost. And then I started to get into the mod thing through that. So, you know, obviously I bought the wrong Parker. I bought fucking Millets Parker and all that, which I hated, you know, and I didn't know how to dress quite properly. And my granddad lent me his suit, and that was ridiculous. It's almost like a bloody spiff suit, and nothing to do with 3 buttons and, you know, nice neat cuts and stuff. You know, they Italian flair to whatsoever. So, but most kids around about that. This is before Quadrophenia came out, so no one knew what was going on in my mind. But I was trying to develop my my fashion, my individual fashion. Everyone was still into that glam rock thing that's coming out of the punk era and whatever. I just wanted that little bit something special to be a little bit different, and so that was it really. And then, of course, by that time there was a lot of mainstream pop music in the charts, you know, stuff like the Selector, the whole two-tone lot, you know, that started to come in. The punk thing was phasing out. Like you still had the Buzzcocks and a few other things that still smattering about around that time, which I loved, of course, because I've always said if I weren't a mod, I would have been a punk. You know, I loved that whole punk thing. But I decided on the mod thing, and plus the music really developed me into becoming a full-blown mod. What with like the Jam and the Secret Affair, the Purple Hearts, Chords, you know, all these sort of bands, little bands popping up here and there. And then it made it quite big and became mainstream pop, you know, if you like. And of course, that developed into like new wave or new age mod, I suppose, in using the term loosely. So,
do you think that the rebellious, obviously, you were saying there you had a sort of rough upbringing. Do you think that rebellious sound of, I suppose, the mod revival and the Who, I suppose, before that was sort of the reason why you were drawn to it? Do you think that's what, you know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Johnny. I mean, without a doubt, I was an aggressive young man. I had a fucking chip on my shoulders. It was a sack of spuds more than anything. Do you know what I mean? I thought the world owed me something. I was very rebellious. I was anti-establishment. I had social workers and everyone around me telling me what to do this, don't do that. I thought, fuck off. So, yeah, so definitely that's why I was sort of edging towards the punk thing, because they were the real hardcore anarchists of it all. I just didn't like the filthy look so much. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, in a nutshell, yes, I was rebelling against authority and everything else that represented that scene.
But do you feel then, though, that getting into the scene, listening to Who, that gives you felt like a purpose? I mean, for me personally, you know, being part of the mod scene, being part of something and having the joy of just finding out a new band or listening to a new track, do you think yourself growing up at 15, obviously having that upbringing, that it sort of helped you find your way slightly and it made you focus on something positive rather than the negative, like music, fashion and all that?
Yeah, without a doubt, Johnny. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there, because I was going down the wrong path. You know, don't forget, in a kids' home, you've got a mishmash of all troubled kids in that society. And of course, everyone had their own personal problems and what got them in there in the first place. So a lot of troubled backgrounds and what have you. So yeah, I was definitely looking out for something to aim for, something to focus on, something to get me away from the.
I suppose something to be part of as well. I mean, I think when you're a kid, you always want to be part of the gang, but you also want to be part of you want to be yourself. And like you said at the beginning there, you're finding your own way in life, aren't you? And what you like, what you don't like. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the kids that I was hanging about at school and in the children's home, they were lost souls as well. They had no direction. They had nothing really to look forward to or to focus on. No one knew what we was going to do when we grew up and left school, whether we was going to be a bloody astronaut, a rock star, or a fucking train driver. No one knew that, you know what I mean? Because we had careers officers come up to you and say, what are you going to do? I didn't know who I was, so I didn't even know where I was going in life. So I didn't know what to do. And I'm not there to say, no, why don't you become a bloody sheet metal worker or carpenter or electrician? Nah, fuck that, that's all boring. I want to do something different, but I didn't know what it was. And the music that was around at the time gave me that positivity, if you like, that made me move forward and get away from this humdrum, dangerous world, if you like, that I was surrounded by and was a part of. Although I didn't want it like that, but that was just the way the kids were going. This is 1978, 79, see, so the times are different back then, Johnny, you know what I mean? So the music, first of all, was escapism for me, you know.
And I suppose, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I suppose at that time, everyone left school, worked in a factory. And I suppose what, you know, maybe what you're trying to say is, you know, when they break away from that, break the mold, you know, do something different. Would you say that?
Oh, definitely, mate, definitely. I didn't want the humdrum lifestyle of where everyone else was going. I didn't want to be my career, which I didn't think I'd ever have a career at that time, as far as I was concerned. And the attitude that I was getting from my peers, teachers and social workers, well, oh, you'll never amount to nothing. So it was that sort of thing. So there was no encouragement as such. It was basically, oh, you're like this, you'll always be like, you'll never be anyone. So that gave me the drive forward to become someone and to be someone completely
very much
different.
Similar. I mean, I had the same sort of, I mean, obviously different era, different time, but, you know, when I was growing up, you know, my reports used to always say, Johnny has the ability, he just doesn't apply it, or he never amounted to much. I'm not saying I have amounted to anything, but I think I would have been in a hell of a lot worse place if it wasn't for music and I suppose the mod scene.
Exactly. I think that's what it was. That mod fashion, it's not just a couple of crazy teenagers riding around on scooters, popping pills, getting into fights. No. It's a lot more deeper than that. I suppose at the beginning I thought, yeah, let's do that and go mental and you know, and throw caution to the wind and just a bit of rebellious bloody nutcase and fuck you to society and everything else, you know. So of course I suppose that was the beginning of something to rebel against it. But I was so much more lucky and fortunate enough to see past that and smarten up my act and listen to the music, the messages they're trying to send me. I understood it. I understood music. Music was my life. That gave me a future. That gave me something to look forward to, you know. But back in them days, of course, you know, we had it was all vinyl. You know, there was no CDs, there was no downloads, nothing was digitized or anything like that. So you'd save up your pocket money and you'd go down to Our Price or HMV Records and go and buy that album or that single, and you'd have it tucked under your arm and you'd walk up and down the high street open to see, and someone, it'd be a conversation piece first of all, wouldn't it? People come up to go, I just bought that, what do you think of so-and-so? And then you start to build up a rapport with like-minded kids of our age, you know. So that was really very important.
There's something special about having, you know, even now for me, having a piece of vinyl, it's like having a work of art, isn't it? It's how, you know, the smell, the feel, and just to have it. I mean, I've got records that I've never played, but I just want them part of my collection. And what I'll do is I'll buy the vinyl and then I'll just download it. But it's just amazing. Just it's something to hold and have. It's like a piece of history. So obviously at that time, you know, when you're working or you're getting your pocket money, to be able to go out and do that, you know, and probably not have much money after it. That's something I think is really cool. Do you know what I mean? That obviously for me, growing up in the digital world, it's something that just doesn't happen now. You know, so that's
for sure. But also the fact that it was an excuse. If you loved a record or an artist or a band that much, then you'd go that little bit further and say, oh, I wonder if they got a gig local and something, you know.
Yeah.
So it was that as well. So then you look so much forward to looking to go and see him play live. You know,
Yeah.
you get your gang of mates together, and you put on your parka, you stick on a bit of eyeliner, you know, and you became a part of a movement. And so it sort of broadened your sort of family, if you like. These young mods that we started to hang about with, they become a new family, if you like, because we had all this stuff in common, and it suited me down to the ground. I loved every bit of it, and I still do to this day.
So obviously you said, you know, you're introduced to the Who, early stages, started to learn a bit more about the sort of mod scene in the early 60s, and that inspired you. So when Quadrophenia came out, obviously the whole of the UK just went crazy for the mod scene. Tell us a bit about how you felt about that, firstly, because I mean, a lot of people I speak to in the past who've said they hated it when Quad came along because everybody jumped on, I suppose, the Medical For All bandwagon and everybody was a mod. But do you think that was a good thing, bad thing? Tell me about how it made you feel, or was it even better because, you know, it introduced more people to what you were sort of getting to grips with in the early stages?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I was born at the end of the 63. So by the time Quadrophenia came out, which was in September 79, there was already a mod scene, an underground mod scene, albeit, but there was still a mod scene. But I was too young to be a part of that, and I didn't really understand it. So when Quadrophenia came out, and I first saw it at a cinema in Kingston, that was it. It totally blew me away. I couldn't believe, because I didn't know too much about the 60s back then. I was all what I read in books and stuff, and what people were saying. You know, my friends, mums and dads, they were mods in the 60s, but they were different generations, so we didn't really connect with that, and we didn't really listen to them. So when Quadrophenia came out, for me, that was it for me. That was a defining moment. I thought, no, fuck that, I'm definitely 100% a part of this. So that projected me forward and heavier and more in touch with the mod scene. And I loved that. And I mean, there's a lot of purists out there would feel, I know Quadrophenia fucked it all up, but well, not for me, not at that age. For me, that projected me into somewhere else where I thought I'd never experienced in my life. So the Quadrophenia, and plus it was obviously the Who that made Quadrophenia, which is my first influences. Yeah, blew me away.
I think you know, there's a lot of relatability there, because you said at the start, you know, if you think about our Jimmy, played by our mutual friend Phil Daniels, you know, he's trying to find his way. He's trying to find his place in life, you know, and he's trying to, you know, I don't know. Do you understand? Like maybe he's trying to find his way. He's trying to get with the girl. He's trying to find, you know, new music, fashion, and all that. And those are massive parts of his life. But he's not looking at the bigger picture and how to move forward. You know, he's a bit confused. And I suppose by learning from watching the film and seeing how he's experienced it, you can obviously take little bits away from that and apply it to yourself, can't you? I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, listen, we all know what it's about. Phil Daniel, Jimmy, young mod growing up in 63, 64, teenage angst, everything that teenagers go through. Quadrophenia is not really about mods. It's about the teenager growing up. And it's
relatable now and will be forever, because it's all about growing up in teenage and being being sort of anti-establishment, you know, not listening to your parents, not following the rules, you know, not wanting to go to work. These things that you just have to then realise one day, I've got to go on with it and I've got to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, listen, it weren't just the music, it weren't just the fashion, it weren't just the scooters. It was the attitude, it was the pills, you know, the drugs and getting off your tits. All your mates were there doing the same thing. You know, the girls were doing the same thing as well. So you've got relationships going on, and we was just one massive movement, rebelling against society and sticking our two fingers up to everyone and anything that weren't mod related, really. You know, so 100% on that one. Cool. So tell us about obviously getting into the mod scene and then you know, Quadrophenia. Where was your path then? Like, what did you after? You know, obviously, you know, as a kid, people were saying you're never amount to anything. So, what was one of the sort of first things you did get into and what you started doing?
Being a young mod was, first of all, was getting the clothes right. That was very important. You know, I should imagine it was worse than that, really, as attention to detail in the 60s when the first mod thing came about. But so I suppose, first of all, it was clothes, and it was wanting to be accepted. And the way to be accepted was through the threads that you were wearing, right? And the music you was listening to. So those two went hand in hand. And if you met like-minded kids of that time, then that just boosted your confidence and projected you forward to the next stage. So first and foremost, I suppose it was the clothes, the look, and wanting to be accepted. Yes, agreed. And then of course the scooters, and then the pills and everything else that came about. The nightclubs that was going on at the time, the live gigs. It was a sort of natural progression to the next stage. So I think, yeah, very much so. That was where I was heading for, and it happened naturally. You wouldn't wake up one morning and think, right, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. It sort of just happened. It sort of came along and it sort of was placed in your lap, along with a little bit of imagination. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. So, well, obviously, we'll fast forward now. I mean, a lot of people think you toured with, or you were a roadie for the Who, but you weren't, were you? Because we talked about this. I think, well, you said it's probably, people think that or suggest that because it's sort of the lower denominator, but you're actually a bit more than that. So tell us, obviously, from being a young kid, being introduced to the Who, then Quadrophenia, getting fully engrossed into the mod scene to, I don't know how long the time frame was, but from all that and growing up to, was it 2005 that you toured with them? Is that right?
2006, yeah.
2006. So, I mean, from being a young kid to now being on stage or travelling with Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, I mean, that must be amazing. So tell us about that and how it obviously come together and how it happened.
Yeah, that old chestnut again, right? Okay.
I've been asked this loads of times, have you?
I've stored my bloody life, Johnny, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I'm here to be interviewed, and I don't mind telling you everything. You know what I mean? I mean, people probably heard it all before, but first and foremost, no, I've never been a roadie for the Who. I've never been a roadie for anyone. And like I said, I'm an independent geezer. I would never work for someone that was my friend. So I suppose, first of all, 2006, I was promoting. I was doing a bit of promotional work, and I was organising events and whatever, music events as well as scooter rallies, along with Tony Class. So there was a lot of that going on through my life prior to 2006. And I think what it was just a chance meeting with Irish Jack, who was a fifth member of the Who. You probably know who that is.
Yeah. Well, I've interviewed Irish Jack. He's a good man.
Oh, he's a fucking hilarious man. I love him to death. We're very close friends ever since then. There's a chance meeting of him down Broadwick Street, down Soho, and that sort of was paved the way, if you like, a little bit further. And then I met Doug Sander, who's the original drummer of the Who, before Keith Moon. We become close friends, so that was another sort of connection there. But this just happened. I didn't go out looking for it; it just happened. And I went to a Who convention I went to several Who conventions because I'm an avid fan, as you know. And I think it was 2005, 2006, where Simon Townsend, Pete's brother, was playing at one of their gigs, headlining Casbah Club. They had Mark Brzezicki, the drummer of Big Country. And I said, here's my business card, I can get you gigs, blah, blah, blah. And that was basically it. It was meeting up with three people in concession, sheerly by accident. And it sort of went on from there. And the rest is history, as they say. So, yeah, I ended up touring all over the world with them and stuff, as you know, but I never worked for them. They were just friends of mine, see. They took I didn't become friends with Roger until I think 2007. So maybe a year, 18 months later, then me and Roger became good friends, and then I met Pete and all the rest of them. So, yeah, they were like sort of building blocks, meeting up with these people, but completely unintentionally. It just sort of landed on my lap. One of the luckiest people alive, I think, because the Who was the ones that saved me, really, by being a young kid in a children's home.
Yeah, I mean, so I think if you said before, Simon was, I suppose, your main guy. I don't know, you'd hang around with, or would you go on nights out and stuff like that after gigs and whatever? Yeah,
me and Simon, we become very close, and my ex-wife at the time, she became very close with Janie, Simon's wife.
Yeah,
and we all got on so well. It was just a natural progression from there onwards, really. We were sort of going around his house and having parties. Mark Brzezicki would turn up, and Eddie Vedder might pop in, if he was in town. So it was just like meeting new friends, but later on in life. But they became good friends of mine. And then I worked in an airline industry for quite some time, and so did my ex-wife. She worked for Virgin, I worked for Alitalia. So we had concessions, cheap flights coming out of our ear holes, you know. I mean, it got so ridiculous. I ended up flying to Australia for the weekend to Sydney, you know, because back then, I'm going back, you know, to say 1999, 2000. They were the golden years for flying as far as cheap tickets were concerned. And you would get like upgrades most of the time. So we'd fly first class most of the time all around the world if there was space. And so we could afford to hang out with bands like The Who and that, you know what I mean? And it became, and the more we went on tour with them, the more we became closer to them as friends, you know. So, and it was just like a totally unexpected dream come true. And then over the years, you sort of get used to it. But we always done it, you know. Me and my wife, we loved The Who. We loved touring with The Who. And if we if we had a week or two off, instead of going to Spain or whatever, we'd find out where the U were playing and we'd fuck off there for 2 weeks, wherever it is, Australia, New Zealand, wherever. And then sometimes we'd take a whole block of time off, and it would be, we could be on tour with them for 4 or 5 weeks at a time, come back, do a few more weeks work, bosh, fly out and finish the rest of the tour with them. So,
yeah. I mean, how cool is that from being introduced to The Who to now, you know, traveling around the world, being with them, partying with them, chilling out with them. I mean, that's just, you couldn't write that. You couldn't make that up. Do you know what I mean? I think that's cool as hell, man.
Yeah, well, you couldn't make it up, you know.
Hello, Wolfy. Do you want to top up?
Oh, hello, darling. This is Lorraine. She's my...
Hello, Lorraine.
Hiya. She's making sure that I'm well topped up. Thank you, darling.
Got to make him keep talking, haven't I?
No, keep giving out all the secrets.
Yeah, we're giving out the secrets. Thank you, darling. Thank you, darling. It was like a dream come true, of course, you know, and sometimes I still pinch myself, you know, I mean, did it really happen? It almost felt like a dream, you know. Luckiest man alive, Johnny, luckiest man alive. I mean, it went further than that. I ended up introducing Roger and Simon on stage. So if The Who were on tour, while The Who had a day off, Simon might go and do a solo tour somewhere in the same town, in Chicago, for example. So I'd finish The Who gig on a Friday night, and on the Saturday night, I'd go with Simon, do his local gig, introduce him, and I became the man to introduce them all, you know.
Yeah.
And it sort of ended up being part of the norm. People expected me to go on stage. Roger loved the way I introduced him. I always made him laugh. We was always fucking about. I was having a laugh. Then there could be 10,000 people there, and I'd go on and say something silly, and you know, it was all part of the game, really. Do you know what I mean? It sort of broke up the norm a little bit. So I sort of become a part of the act, I suppose, if you like.
Yeah.
You know.
So that leads me to my sort of next question. Obviously, you know, being on stage with Who, you know, and making people laugh, that's something that you've been doing for a few years since. I mean, you've got a few characters. I mean, if you're friends with you on Facebook, various times you'll pop up live video and you'll do various sketches. Tell us about that and how you got into that, and about some of the characters and why. Why do you do it? I mean, some of them are absolutely bloody hilarious. Like, you know, so you know, where did that come from, and why did you sort of develop these alter egos, I suppose, if you want to call them that?
Well, yeah, I suppose they are my alter egos, and I've got so many of them. It's like bloody personality. I don't know whether I'm over here or over there.
Yeah.
I suppose it's one of those. But listen, I've always been a bit of a comedian. Even at school, I used to get up on stage and sing, and you know, I used to entertain the kids. I've always been a bit of a silly bugger, really. Just like to make people laugh. They can laugh with me or they can laugh at me. It don't bother me. As long as we're having a good time, I don't care, because I'm a little bit off the wall, as you probably guessed by now. I just found that I just got great pleasure out of making people laugh. So I suppose that sort of paved the way for me when we all went digital, of course, and everyone had a PC and mobile phones. I thought, well, it's so easy to make a silly comedy clip and then just post it out to all the social media sites and YouTube, which is a huge launching pad for the world, if you like, because anyone can see them. You know, now we've got TikTok and compere and all these other Pinterest, and there's so many out there. So I thought, fuck it, sky's the limit. So I would sit at home, bored off my tits, and instead of drinking myself to death, through boredom, because I've been on my own for quite some time now, because no fucker could put up with me. So, but that's what I used to do. So I thought, you know what, I can take it a step further. So I can come up with my own characters. I'd script it. I'd get my own wardrobe sorted together. And it just led from one thing to another. And I was starting to get loads of hits. I've now got 3 YouTube channels, or 4 now. I've got 4 YouTube channels and several Facebook accounts and Twitter and whatever. So it's just nice to be out there and making people have a giggle. So and that sort of went in. I took it a stage further and ended up acting as a profession. So it was a progression.
Yeah. So tell us about some of those. So I know you've done a bit of acting. I don't know if have you ever been like sort of main character, or have you done a lot? Because I know you've done a lot of extra work. So
yeah,
tell us about some of the sort of extra things you've been in.
Well, the extra work. I mean, obviously it starts off at extra. Listen, I haven't. I'm not in RADA. I haven't got any qualifications. I didn't go to drama school. You know, but apparently these days you don't need to. I think if you've got an affair with the camera and the camera loves you, then you can go on to do other things in a more professional way. You know, so I suppose it started off being an extra for Bollywood films. I've done loads of Bollywood films now as an extra, but also as serious talking parts as well. So proper acting, and the Bollywood and Tollywood and Collywood directors, there's different variations of Indian movies. They took a shine to me and said, "Oh, can you do this?" And I go, "Yeah." The thing is, I say yes to everything, even if I can't do it. I go, "Yep, I can do it." And once I've committed myself, then I have to learn the trade.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm bullshitting people to say yes, I can do it, even if I can't. I'll say I can. Now I have to. So I study.
It's about yourself, I suppose, isn't it? You know, you want to, push yourself to succeed and get amongst it, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's pushing yourself to succeed. I mean, sometimes there can be good money in it, and sometimes you can do stuff for fuck all, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. You know, I'm 58 now, see, so I don't know how long I've got left. So while I'm here, I'm going to do as much as I can, and it's not about the dough. So it went from extra work with Bollywood, then it went to doing absolutely free work, you know, volunteering for work. I mean, there's several things that I've done. Was hardly any money in it at all. I mean, some people turn around and say, "Oh, well, you know, you signed a release form and then you signed your life away." That may be, but also you've got to remember that I could also get a lot of royalties out of this.
Yeah.
Or I could get a lump sum out of this. So if I can keep doing that and it keeps my head above water, then why not? So now I've done Brit flicks, a couple of gangster films with Dave Courtney. They still haven't been completed, and some of them I've just given up the ghost for. But also, quite recently, I'm involved in a Sam Mendes film. I don't know if you know who that is, but
is that based in Margate by any chance?
That's the one.
Yeah.
So
I've
auditioned for that. I've got a part in that. They said it could be a talking part, but I'm in it. And yeah, that's the one down in Margate. So I've got that, which is a nice big production, because Sam Mendes, I think he'd done a lot of James Bond films and 1970 big productions. So that's really good. But also I've done like little Brit flicks, little bit parts here and there, which I'd pop up and go, "Oh, was that Wolfy?" And next minute I'm gone. But yeah. It was me, you know. So that was quite nice to do that. And I've moved on now to TV production. I've managed to secure myself a lead role called Join the Queue, which is going to be a TV series. The pilot film should be out soon. It should have been out months ago, but things went wrong. So that's good. And the director likes me. And so he's put me forward for more parts for commercial TV, as well as like Prime, Amazon Prime, and other stuff like that. You know, so yeah, it's all looking good. I've done a B movie called Vegan Vampires by Mike Bennett, where I'm playing. Who am I playing now? Oh, I'm playing the devil's Beelzebub. You know, and I'm a horrible bastard in that. I mean, that could be nice if you're playing a role like that.
Yeah.
But that's a good part. It's a B movie, but it's very good, and special effects, everything else. So basically, Johnny, I'm just putting myself out there and just see what comes of it. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing. That's the main thing.
So,
you know?
I think we talked about this a while back. I mean, Bollywood is something that, you know, I've never heard anyone say, that I know anyway, personally, that I've been in a few Bollywood films. I mean, how did that come apart in the first place? Were you over there? Did you visit, or was it just purely just someone got in touch?
It was a chance meeting with some people. I know some bad boys made good, shall we say? You know, there's a lot of gangsters, or have been gangsters, London gangsters, respectful people that have realised the error of their ways and gone forward. One of my friends being Dave Courtney. So we go to his party his house quite regularly for parties and stuff. Now he's done a bit of been a bit of an actor. He's had his own businesses. He's done all sorts of things, and he's a lovely fella. A lot of people slate him, but I think he's a top geezer. So he said, why don't you go in our film, Little Bastards? So this is what I'd done. So that was great, and that works for me. And so I started to meet other people within that little clique, if you like.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, you could make a living out of this because you're pretty good at what you do. And they said, why don't you go for Bollywood? So Big Al Groves, he decided to say, got me a gig in Bollywood in London, and I was doing all sorts of things. And they said, can you do this? I said, yeah, I can do anything. And so I did. And then I started to get more work within the Indian film industry. And then I met a director, and he goes, well, let's go out to India. We're going to make films out there. So I moved out there, lived out there for bloody ages, and started to make films. Whether anything come of them, I don't know. I'm not going to sit through 4 hours of a Bollywood film just to watch 5 minutes of me. So I don't really know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I suppose getting into that, your first few, it opens up a bigger network, doesn't it? I suppose. So yeah, no, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, I've never met anyone or listened to anyone who says, I've been in a Bollywood film. It's just, I suppose, a chance meeting again, about getting into it,
Yeah, it's almost like destiny, Johnny. Do you know what I mean? You meet these people and you get on with them. And I said, what do you say? I'm an actor. And I'll turn and say, oh, get us a job. What, you're an actor? Yeah. Well, I'm not. I just make silly independent films for YouTube to make people laugh. So, it all started out as recreating 70s British adverts and putting my own slant on it. And then the pop videos like Jilted John, I've done that, and it's just like silly stuff. So I know I can do it. And when they said to me, well, why don't we get you involved in that? I'll just say yes, 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 yes to everything, except for porn. Right? I can't do porn. You know what I mean? I'm too good for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a funny element of it all. But yeah, it's all good stuff. I love it.
Going back, I want to talk more about your characters. So the people that you do your sketches, the people you've created alike. Tell me a bit more about them and some of the main ones, if you like. Are they inspired by someone, or are they just completely out of your head? I kind of want to learn more about them, because what I'm trying to do for you here is, if someone's listening to this, they'll go, oh, I like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like your angle, Johnny. I like your angle, and I appreciate you.
Maybe we'll get you some more work.
This is good. I love you. You're so professional, and you're giving me like a little pedestal here, and I thank you for that. Okay, so the answer to your question there is no, they're not based on anyone. They just pop into my. I don't know where they come from. They don't come from God, because I'm an atheist. They don't come from the devil, because I don't believe in that idiot either. I think they just pop through my head. They just come to me. I'll just sit down there one day. I'm on my own. I'll get bored. I might have a glass of wine, and I'm thinking, perhaps I could do that. And then I might play this outrageous Italian drunk chef that's absolutely rubbish at cooking, that smokes and drinks and falls over and smashes things up. And I think it's funny. Let's see if anyone else thinks it's funny. Yeah. So I'll go along to do. I think my latest character is Tarquin. He's completely bonkers.
Love Tarquin.
A lot of people love Tarquin. He's just as nut as a fruitcake. Can be bloody Christmas. And he goes, sorry, what's that, Bez? Oh, sorry about this, Johnny. What? Oh, you want me to do Tarquin? He wants me to do Tarquin.
Yeah, let's bring Tarquin in. Let's give you the platform today.
Okay. So this is Wolfy Foxlow. I'll introduce you, Tarquin. Tarquin, Johnny.
Hello. Oh, Johnny, I can't believe I'm on telly. I want so much about your Mods Generation thing. Oh, my God. Oh, do you really think they would like me? I don't know. I really don't. Do you think they know? I don't not get saucy. Oh, I bet he's got a big one.
That's enough of that, Tarquin. Now leave it out. So little characters like that, really. And it's just a fun, crazy thing that just pops into my head. And if I get hits and I'll make people laugh, and so do it.
I think that's what it's about, isn't it? You know, yeah. I mean, if it brings you joy and people laugh, then you know, maybe these characters are just meant to be on Facebook or on YouTube. Maybe they're meant for the TV or for a sketch show. But wherever they are and how big or small they are, it's making people laugh. I mean, I came across it, you know, some of the videos, and I look forward to seeing Wolfy Foxlow's live just to go on and see what absolute mental sort of sketch or whatever you're going to be doing next. So for me, you know, and I suppose a lot of the time, you know, people will probably have something negative to say. People will, you know, there always says someone, but I always think that if one person likes it, you've done a good job, haven't you? You've made someone's day. And I think what you're doing is amazing, man. I mean, I love it. So, I mean, if you've got one person to keep doing it for, it's me. You know what I mean?
And that's very kind of you, Johnny. That's very kind of me. But yeah, I mean, totally agreed. I mean, not everyone's going to like my material or what I do. You know, I've done hundreds and hundreds of sketches, and you know, and you're right. If it makes one person laugh, then my job is done. You know, and I'm going to keep doing it. And you're right. I mean, I am hoping one day that someone might go from Channel 4, Channel 5, or any terrestrial channel will turn around and go, do you know what? We could use him for a 5-minute sketch. Let's get him in there. So, you know, if it's great, you know, and that can project me to the next level and make a few quid out of it, then that's it. I'm happy. But do you know what? At the moment, I'm doing everything that I enjoy doing, whether it pisses you off or whether it makes you laugh. I think that I enjoy what I do, basically, Johnny, and that's it, really. Do
you know what? That there's if anybody watching this can take anything away from this interview as a lesson, it's do the things you enjoy. Don't care about anyone else. You know, obviously you don't want to do things to upset people or offend people, but just do what makes you happy. And if it makes others happy, then brilliant. What a lesson to take away from this interview.
Yes. Thank you, Johnny.
I'm going to ask you a question now that you've probably been asked a million times, and I know you're going to be like, oh God, not again. But tell me about Coach Trip. Now you're on Celebrity Coach Trip, or the normal Coach Trip, wasn't it? So tell us about that. You don't have to go into detail because I know that it's a bit controversial, but tell us sort of what's what on that show.
Well, you know, I mean, I've mentioned this in one or two interviews beforehand, Johnny, you know, but not everyone saw them. So yeah, I'm quite happy to spill the beans on that one. I've done a little bit of TV work here and there. I've done a bit of presenting for Channel 5 and whatever. And because it's good money on these programs. If you can make a career out of being a TV presenter or comedian, I mean, it's an hard thing to crack, but if you crack it, you can make a good dough out of it. And I can look after my dear old mum a bit better. Do you know what I mean, mate? Yeah. So it's one of them sort of things, really. It's not all about me. So one day I was just bored as usual. I mean, listen, I'll wake up bored, you know what I mean? So when I get bored, I have to find things to entertain myself. And I was trawling through different websites and whatever, and it said about Coach Trip. And I thought, oh, what's that, Coach Trip? And I read into it a little bit further. A reality TV show, and you jump on a coach with a load of others and drive all around the country, and you get voted off. They think you're a dick, right? So I thought, I can be a dick. I think that I'll be well suited on that. So I got in touch with my best friend, Tony Class. Said, all you mods out there know exactly who he is, all right? So I went out and I said to Tony, and I phoned him up, and I went, here, Tony, do you want to go on Coach Trip? Yeah, fucking not many. What is it? I said, it's a reality TV show, Tony. You know what I mean? Jump on a coach and it's an half, you know what I mean? It's a free holiday, basically. So he went, yeah. I mean, Tony's a great personality. He's great for TV, and he's your best friend, and he's well into the mod thing, you know. So we both are. So I thought, fuck it, let's do it. So got down there, had the audition, and we got accepted. And before we got accepted, the guy who was sorting it all out, the casting director, he said, so if you do get through to the next stage, he goes, Tony, is there any health issues that we should know about? And then he went all serious. He goes, yes. He goes, I've had a heart attack. And I went, boo! Right? And they thought that was hilarious, right? And so that just goes to show character. And I think that probably cemented the way forward to be accepted for that silly little show with Brendan. So that's what we done, and we got on there, and it was all good fun, you know. And so they said to us, right, okay, you got to forget the cameras. He goes, you're on holiday. Just forget about the cameras, and you're on holiday. Right? Okay. Be yourself. Okay. So that's what we've done. So that's what we've done, and that was inevitably what got us kicked off, I think, in the end. I mean, so we was being ourselves. I mean, and the other reason why I picked Tony to go on that was because he's been drying. He ain't been drinking for 10 years.
Yeah.
The first night of filming, the night before filming, he decided to start drinking again. So out comes a vodka and champagne, and fuck me. So it was just a mess. I mean, it was proper mental. But it was one of the best things that we'd ever done, and I was so happy that I got Tony involved with it. You know, so we'd be partying as if nothing, as if we was on holiday, like they suggested. And then the next day they said, "Do you mind toning it down a little bit? It's not the Wolfy and Tony class show here. It's not all about you two. You know, it's not all about you two." So I said, "Well, okay, we'll tone it down." So we toned it down. Then the day after that, they said, "Do you mind upping it a little bit, upping it? Because it's not good for continuity." "Oh, we make your fucking mind up." You know, so it was ridiculous. It went from one extreme to the other. So to cut a long story short, we just done our own thing. We had so much fun doing it. Tony loved it so much he bought a bloody t-shirt, you know. And then right at the end, we got too much fun. We didn't get any votes at all because you need a yellow or two yellows and a red, and then you're off. We didn't get any votes at all. We just got an instant red for bad behaviour, and they kicked us off for 7 days. Now, that's a rock and roll moment, right? We both loved it. But Tony was so upset, he didn't want to take the red card. So I had to take the red card, and they flew us back to England from Germany. And the viewing figures went down, by the way, once when Tony got kicked off.
Do you think, though, even though it was sort of a show where you got to be yourself, do you think it helped you, moving forward and going into your Bollywood and doing your extra work? I know that you were supposed to ignore the cameras. Do you think it benefited you in a way, or people got to know who Wolfy was before? You know what I mean?
Well, I was sort of quite well known before because I've had little snippets that I've done. I've done loads of TV stuff before, like Cutting Edge, Men and Motors and stuff. You know, so people in the scene, should I say, knew who I was. You know, people was anything to do with mod scene, scooter scene, skinheads, anything like that. They knew who I was. You know, Bollywood didn't have a clue who I was.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the experience of being, I suppose, around the cameras and stuff like that. I know you've done it before, but do you think it just benefited you in any way moving forward and things you've done after that?
What, Coach Strip?
Yeah.
Definitely not. No, definitely not. No. People look at that and think, "Oh my God, what a pair of fucking nightmares they were." You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that paved the way for anything. The only thing that paved the way for was to make me and Tony more popular within the mod scene.
Yeah, and have I suppose a free holiday for 7 days or whatever it was.
It was a scream. It was so much fun. There's no regrets on that one. Absolutely no regrets. But yeah, I don't think there was anyone go, "Oh, you're a guy off Coach Strip. We need to hunt you down." No.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that at all. It was just a bit of fun, Johnny. That's all it was, mate.
So, I think, for me, I've pretty much covered everything. So I'm just going to leave it open to you. If there's anything you want to put out there that people might want to know about you, or maybe things that you've got going on in the future.
No. Sorry, Johnny. Well, I mean, the other thing that I want to plug really is Join the Queue, which I've already just mentioned that. I've got a sort of a volunteer for a regular entertainment thing for Mickey Goldtooth. He's got the London Gangster Bus Tours. Now you can look it up at gangstertours.co.uk. So me and my friend Leanne, we go on that, and we basically serve drinks, entertain the people on there, and that sort of keeps me busy. That's a Saturday thing, and it's very entertaining. It's very funny, and it's educational as well. It's a great thing to do. So I do that. I've moved out of London, but I come back every Saturday just to do that, really, which is what I love, of course. I've got my book coming out soon. I know I've been saying it for a while now. It's been coming out for quite a number of years, if you like. But I've just got in touch with a new promoter, and apparently it should be out within the next 2 or 3 months. I'm hoping. It's called Stroking Walls. So that's what I'm looking at now. So that's my next big adventure.
So tell us about the book then. What's it about? Is it about autobiography? What is it? Because I haven't heard anything about it.
Right. Okay. So the reason why it's called Stroke of Walls, and it's basically it's all arguing about my life from beginning to end. You know, right? We might have to chop this up a little bit because I've got noise in the background. But so basically, it's about my life from beginning to basically 2013, 2014. So what happened was I had such an interesting and unusual life that I thought I've got a story to tell. So the only way to do that is through a book, get that published. And if people find it interesting enough, I'll get it scripted and send it off to various film directors that I know and hopefully make a film out of it. I mean, every other bugger is making a film out of it, so why not me, you know?
Yeah.
So it sort of starts off with the early years and then going through the whole mod thing, basically what we've just spoken about, but a very in-depth thing about that. It's 140,000 words. It's about 200 pages, A4 page. I don't know what that equates to into a paperback. But it goes on about life with the Who. It's going to appeal to a lot of mods and Who fans, you know. So I think that would be something that would appeal to those and others within the music industry or any other sort of fashion orientated thing to do with that. So that's the next big thing that I'm doing, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. And obviously the other things I've got coming up, other movies and TV things coming up. So keep myself busy, keep myself out of prison. I mean, out the pub, Johnny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, do you know what? It's been cool just coming on here and chatting about different things and hearing about your story. I mean, there's like I said earlier, you know, the one thing to take away is, you haven't had the best upbringing, being in care, and you know, you're living life as you're living it now, and you're enjoying it, and that's, I mean, what a message to put out to the world. Do what you want, and do what's enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly, Johnny. I mean, that is the message I'm putting out there as well. I mean, to the young kids that are going through rubbish, you know, going through shit times, that are in the care system, and they've got like social workers, psychologists and psychiatrists poking around in their brains. Don't give up. Don't think that's the end, and don't listen to everything they say. They will put you down. They'll try and put you down. Don't listen to the bullies, man. Don't listen to that. Don't do knife. Put your bloody knives down. You know what I mean? There's no need for it. There is a future out there for everyone. And that future could be anything that you want it to be, whether it be within arts, performing, music, sport, anything. You can be anything that you want to be. I mean, I'm living proof of that. You know, I'm still having the time of my life. So I just think, just never give up, man. Never give up, and just do what you do best, and believe in yourself and love yourself. And if someone says to you, you ain't going anywhere, just tell them fuck off. What do they know about you? That's it, Johnny. All right.
That's the message. Look, let us keep in touch. Let us know when the book's out, and obviously we'll be happy to help you promote it. And do you know what? It's great to be on here chatting to you. I've made a new friend, and I wish you all the best in the future, mate. I really do.
Thank you very much, Johnny. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. All right.
Take care, everybody.
Up the mod.